Эй. Что, серьезно? Я за себя так делаю? Нет, по себе так надо делать. Не понимаю. Вот это было. Говорил просто, да, не так понял. Вот это было. Ну да. Right now, I don't know. To be truth. Ну нет. Нет, наоборот, вот нет. Это было. KFC. Да, нет. Да наоборот, нет. Да нет, наоборот. Нет, не серьезно тогда, да. Ну и что? Со стороны как-то... нет, смотри, печатку. Бандит. Я бы нет. Далее. И что я не понимаю, свет. Да. Нет. Нет, если я так думать не было. Ладно. Пора кушать. Фидбэк. То есть на фидбэк. Чем я буду заниматься? Окей, feeding.
Hey everyone, Benny the Squirrel here, and we're going to learn a song today from Suzuki Book 2. It's called Melody. It's by that crazy composer Robert Schumann. Yeah, he wrote that other one, Happy Farmer. Oh, we love that song so much. But Melody is very beautiful. Let's learn the right hand first. Okay, come on. Okay. Put your 5 on an E. Now, you got to remember, look down there. See that first note? See, it's on a space. And in the treble clef, the spaces spell a word.
Детям, короче, по-нашему. Сузуки это, короче, там пьяное мастерство, да. То есть, в смысле, нормально все.
how to practice Hannah.
Piano keys. What is this stuff? Sometimes it's yeah. To realize, yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Better all the time, but find your own answer. Yeah. Then relax.
Играй в эту игру на новой консоли Xbox.
It's Weekend Update with Colin Jost and Michael Che.
Good evening, everyone.
Welcome to Weekend Update. I'm Michael Che.
I'm Colin Jost. Well, the election, guys, is 3 days away, and after all this time, Trump, I think, has finally found a winning message.
You know, our doctors get more money if somebody dies from COVID. You know that, right?
Yeah. That's our president, recently saved by doctors, saying doctors want more COVID for money. Which makes me think Trump only survived COVID so he wouldn't have to pay his doctors. Unfortunately, Trump's gaslighting isn't quite enough to keep you warm because multiple Trump supporters who were stranded at a freezing cold rally in Nebraska were hospitalized with hypothermia. I assume because Trump told them the jackets don't work. But don't worry, the president isn't trying to kill his supporters. He's actually succeeding at killing his supporters. According to a study, over 30,000 COVID cases and 700 deaths have been tied directly to Trump rallies. That means he's officially killed more people across the Midwest than Jeffrey Dahmer and John Wayne Gacy combined. Which is also kind of what Trump looks like. In the end, I guess that Trump was what Jeffrey...
And I'm up here trying to do jokes like, hey, did you hear the one about the constipated account?
Hey everyone, Tony Winston here for a classical piano workshop, and I'm going to cover the song Little Waltz today by Cornelius Gurlitt. Word F-A-C-E, so E up here. All right, here we go. Repeat sign, gotta do it again. Now watch out here in the third and fourth measure. When your thumb's on C, cross over with 4, and then use 2 and 3 to find F sharp and A. And then your thumb goes down right in between there, right underneath there. Okay, onwards we go. Rest. Another rest. Now, my teacher told me on measure 8, when you go like this, she told me to do it 500 times, but I said no way. So I only did it 10 times every day, and that seemed to be okay. So here's how you do it. 1, 4, 3, 5. Watch out for that 1, 4. It's just this far. Okay, just that far. And then with 1 and 4, you play A and F. And then you switch really fast. And then start moving these bottom notes. A goes up to C. You got to hold on to that top one. And then B. And then right here at the last note, just the third finger. Let's go over that again because it is complicated. Switch real fast. Right. And it's one more time, and then do it 10 times when you practice. Onwards we go. 5 and 2, come down here. And 4. Another switch there, did you see? 5, 4, go 1 and 3. Now it's not A and F this time, it's B and F. And then switch quickly, and 4 and 2 will be right there for you. And then I like to write the fingering in here. 3, 5, 1, 3, 2. 3, 5, 1, 3, 2. And the next 2 lines are just a repeat of line 2 and 3, so let's not worry about those. Let's just go to the left hand. Go to the left hand, go to the left hand. All right, come on. Come. Line 2 and 3, so let's not worry about those. Let's just go to the left hand. Go to the left hand, go to the left hand. All right, come on. Come on. There you go. Okay. Left hand is also in the treble clef, so that first note is middle C. I know, what's middle C doing way down there? But, just imagine that it was in the line up above there. And, then middle C would be in the middle, where it's supposed to be. But here it is, middle C. Okay, that's the first 2 measures. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to write in every single finger number, or if you can read music well enough, Just read the notes and then maybe try to memorize them or something. I don't know. Next part. Repeat sign. Now notice there in measure 4, you have D, G, and then C and D. You're going to use 5 and then 1. That's about as tight of a finger pinch as you can get. So again, 5, 1, and 3, 1, 5. There's some other fingering up there too. You can use that if you like, but I did the regular way. Next line. F natural. Remember, we're still in the treble clef, so no, all cows eat grass is not going to work down here. You got to use F-A-C-E, treble clef. Here we go, F. Okay, measure 8, let's do that one again. Start on B, and then 5, 4, 3. There's another fingering, you could use that if you like. 5, 4, 3, and then up to G, and make sure you slow down for those last 2 eighth notes. All right, don't do it like this. Right, because last 2 are eighth notes, slower. Next line, and here we go. It's almost like the first line, but there's one note that's different.
Pédagogie.
See, ends there on that C. You see, that's a C down there. But there's one note that's different. Fingering, you could use that. All cows eat grass is not going to work down here. You got inches you can get. So again, measure 4. Next part. Maybe try to memorize them or something. I don't know. Next part. sign.
Very nice. Anyway, you have to shape. Так почему не надо так? Чтобы лучше было видно зубы. Suppose, yes. Suppose. Ну и что? Окей. Нет, просто надо добиться, чтобы... Да, I need to shape for better life. Not for the... Ну нет, он так я говорю. Ну это неправильное выражение. Ugly half an hour.
Now notice there in measure 4, you have D, G, and then C and D. That means 5 and then 1. That's about as tight of a finger pinch as you can get. So again, 5, 1, and 3.
Today. I always use hand in my studio because it helps with finger dexterity. Now, at the beginning of the book it says, if the fingers, the 5 fingers of each hand were equally well trained, they would be able to execute anything that has been written for the instrument, etc., etc. So the whole point is to try to get all the fingers moving with equal strength and dexterity. Now, as we all know, that is not possible because all 5 fingers are completely different. So for some people with large hands, this motion is fairly easy because there's more lever or weight in the fingers. But for a smaller hand like mine and most of my small students, that is not possible. So it's much easier to use the arm as a bigger weight, as a bigger lever and bigger weight. If I transfer the weight of the arm into each finger, I have the arm weight, which is the same weight, ready to transfer for each finger. Then I have the same weight, the same strength in each finger. Okay? So that is what you want to work towards. So you play effortlessly, rather than here, which is quite strenuous. Look how much motion it takes here. Then to transfer, which is, there's next to no effort in the fingers. It all comes from the arm. Now let me show you where I tell my students to play. It's right here. Here's the nail. It's right here. The very first part under the nail. Okay? So I want this angle. First of all, I sit high enough. I raise my hand at the elbow. This is level here. It goes directly to the knuckles. I'll show you here. It goes directly to the knuckles. The knuckles are sticking out nicely. And then I have these angles here. Each joint is bent the right way. So there's no such thing as this. And if somebody does that, they have to work very hard to break that habit. Now, I also don't teach this, and I don't teach this. I don't teach the flinging the fingers, although there's a merit to everything. But I don't teach this method except for doing some finger exercises where you work each finger like so, basically. But you can see even my fingers, each one has a different agility. So now, all that is necessary is to take a key from the top. The finger rests on the key that needs to be played. And play that key from the top of the key to the bottom. And we do that with the arm. It's very easy. And then the next one. Okay, it's very effortless. So now we have to make sense of that and train that. Oh, and let me tell you something else about these exercises. I never tell anybody to read them. It is very, very simple. There are 8 notes. It's an 8-note exercise. So you memorize those 8 notes not as notes, but as a fingering pattern. So 1 to 2, there's a skip, and it's all white keys. So you skip 1 to 2, then 3, 4, 5 is even. It's the very next key, and it comes down. And then we start the same exercise going up. So you skip next, next, next.
One, 5. There's some other fingering up there too. You can use that if you like, but I did the regular way. Next line, F natural. Remember, we're still in the treble clef, so no, all cows eat grass is not going to work down here. You got to use F-A-C-E, treble clef. Here we go, F. Okay, measure 8. Let's do that one again. Start on B. And then 5, 4, 3. There's another fingering. You can use that if you like. 5, 4, 3. And then up to G. And make sure you slow down for those last 2 8 notes. Alright, don't do it like this. Alright, because last 2 are 8 notes. Slower. Next line, and here we go. It's almost like the first line, but there's one note that's different. See, ends there on that C. You see, that's a C down there. Well, the first line had a D in that place, but C is in this line, so be careful with it right there. Write a 5 under that note so you don't miss it. And then reach up with your third finger. Alright, remember these are space notes in your treble clef. So F, spell face, F-A-C. So we've got F and C. F, C. E, C. And then here's third finger. Now be careful, because your thumb is on G, you gotta put your third finger on F, and I would write in these fingers 3, 1, 2, 3. It'll help you when you put hands together. Alright, let's do those two measures again. Measure what? 11 and 12. Here we go. You know, it's the last two measures on the third line. Here we go. C, but on this line it has that E there too. And the next two lines are just a copy of the previous two lines. Previous, you know that word, previous. Okay, I'm going to take a little rest and let this guy play it hands together. Some of the harder places would be measure 8 and measure 11 and 12. So here's measure 8 really slowly, and then measure 11 and 12 really slowly, and I'm going to rest. Here's measure 11 and 12.
Emmanuel Macron joue l'apaisement face aux récentes manifestations de colère dans plusieurs pays du monde musulman. Dans un entretien de près d'1 heure à la chaîne qatari Al Jazeera, le président français a dit comprendre que certains puissent être choqués par les caricatures de Mahomet, tout en dénonçant les manipulations et la violence.
Les réactions du monde musulman, je crois d'abord, ont été dues à beaucoup de mensonges et aux détournements que j'ai évoqués, et au fait que les gens ont cru comprendre que moi, j'étais favorable à ces caricatures. Et donc, je comprends et respecte qu'on puisse être choqué par ces caricatures. Je n'accepterai jamais qu'on puisse justifier une violence physique pour ces caricatures. Et je défendrai toujours dans mon pays la liberté de dire, d'écrire, de penser, de dessiner.
Il a aussi appelé Recep Tayyip Erdogan à cesser les insultes et les mensonges tout en souhaitant que les choses s'apaisent. Et il a fustigé la campagne de boycott.
Écrire, de penser, de dessiner.
Il a aussi appelé Recep Tayyip Erdogan à cesser les insultes et les mensonges tout en souhaitant que les choses s'apaisent. Et il a fustigé la campagne de boycott anti-française.
Elle est indigne et je la condamne. Mais elle est faite par certains groupes privés. Parce qu'ils n'ont pas compris et qu'ils sont reposés sur les mensonges, sur les caricatures, parfois par d'autres dirigeants. C'est inadmissible.
Le président français a soulevé une vague de contestation suite à ses déclarations défendant le droit à la caricature après la décapitation par un fanatique islamiste mi-octobre de Samuel Paty, un enseignant qui avait montré à ses élèves des caricatures de Mahomet.
Когда ты третий, ты понимаешь, что нельзя останавливаться. Ведь ты уже в тройке лидеров и знаешь...
Hi everyone, I'm Josh, and this is Josh Wright Piano TV. Today I wanted to do a quick
В один момент появилось стремление попробовать что-то новое и...
Hi everyone, I'm Josh, and this is Josh Wright Piano TV. Today I wanted to do a quick explanation of how to maintain a large repertoire. I'm probably saying that wrong, it's repertoire, but didn't want to sound too presumptuous there. Anyway, one of the things that I constantly get questions about is how do I maintain this repertoire when I'm getting ready for a concert? How do I prepare one piece for a recital, or how do I prepare like 3 hours of material like I did for the National Chopin competition? So I want to go through each of those scenarios. My first rule for myself that I always like to do is I like to have the piece completely memorized and performance ready 1 month before my performance. And this is something I started doing after I saw really good results from doing that with Totentons. I was actually about 2 months ready after I saw really good results from doing that with Totentons. I was actually about 2 months ready, 2 months out when I was ready to go for the performance with Totentons. So I had 2 months to just 2 months out when I was ready to go for the performance with Totentons. So I had 2 ready after I saw really good results from doing that with Totentons. I was actually about 2 months ready, 2 months out when I was ready to go for the performance with Totenton. So I had 2 months to just perform like crazy and just live with it, polish it, take it easy kind of each day, you know, just go through passages slowly. There was no stress, and I've done the exact opposite with different pieces like Rock 2. I remember I was still memorizing the second movement 2 weeks away from the performance, and it was just terrifying. At the end of this month, I'll be playing Rock 3, and I had everything memorized by the end of November. The performance is January 26th, and so I had everything memorized, but the second movement was still very rough. First and third were feeling pretty good, and throughout December I solidified everything, and I did my first run through of it just the other day, which is about 3 to 4 weeks out from my performance. So I just wanted to let you know that's my first disclaimer. Always try to be ready at least 1 month out with whatever you're performing. It will give your mind a lot of ease. You'd be surprised at how much you can do in 1 month if you're just polishing. Everyone always asks me, what's your favorite part of piano and what's your least favorite part of piano? My least favorite part is memorizing, probably just because I'm not as fast at it as I am learning and polishing. And my favorite part is polishing because I just enjoy the process of experimenting and finding new ways to shape things. Okay, so let's go through the very basic scenario, which most people fall into this category of I'm preparing for a recital and I have to prepare one piece for it. How would I go about learning and preparing, polishing? So the first thing I would do is I would listen to a lot of recordings. Just like you don't want to try to reinvent the wheel every time you play a new piece, gather inspiration from your favorite artists and copy them to start with. And a lot of people disagree with me on that, and I think it's ridiculous that you disagree with that piece of advice, because at one point in my life I disagreed with that. I said, oh, you have to be original. It's like, no, go copy Richter or Martha Argerich or Marie Pryor or Sergei Babayan or Daniel Trifonov or whoever it might be to start with, because these guys have lived with these pieces for so long. They've studied it, they've experimented, so copy some of what they do to start with. And then after a while of listening to those and kind of gathering ideas from all your favorite recordings, then you can start to play through and say, does this feel completely natural to me? No, right there I want this to do a little bit, do something a little bit different than what my favorite pianist did here. And then it starts to become your own. I'll always remember a story from my teacher, Logan Skelton, who I studied with during my doctorate. Just a brilliant guy, amazing teacher, amazing person too. And he said, I remember I was obsessed with Prokofiev's 7th Sonata, so I wanted to learn that. And I copied Richter every single phrase. He's like, I loved that recording. I grew up with it. So I was like, I'm going to do everything Richter does. So he would just listen back and then play it. And he said, after I learned the whole piece and memorized it, I put away the recording for 3 months. And I still thought, oh, I'm playing exactly like Richter 3 months later. And he said, I was so surprised. The piece had become my own. So that's a little tip to start with. Listen to recordings a lot, and throughout your learning process, and then once it's memorized and performance ready, maybe put away the recordings and really let it become your own piece. The other tips, I've done a lot of videos on YouTube, so I'm not going to dive too much into this, but you can check out like my videos called How to Learn a New Piece or Practice and Technique Regimen for different strategies on how to do that. But once you've learned the piece, I like to learn the piece backwards, I like to learn it in sections, I like to learn it hands alone to hands together, I like to identify harmonies, things like that. Once that's ready to go, and then I'll take individual phrases and I'll really probe and say, what could I do better here? And I'll record myself and I'll listen back and say, is that as extreme as I want it to be with dynamics? Are my resolutions of phrases as beautiful and gentle as possible? And then I'll go and I'll practice that for a while, and I'll end the day by recording it. And I won't go back and listen to the recording that day. It's enough. I've already recorded it once, listened back, and then recorded it again. The next day I'll start by listening to that recording and then analyzing everything and putting that back together by practicing those problem spots, fixing things that I wasn't impressed with or that I wasn't happy with, and so forth. And after you do that for a while, once it's memorized, you're going to get solid as a rock. One piece of advice, my last piece of advice, if you're really feeling hot, ready to go for your performance, I have a student, her name's Whitney, she's brilliant, and she said, okay, like, how do I need to be practicing now? Because she's performing with an orchestra, the Mendelssohn G minor concerto, in a couple of weeks, and her her concerto is totally ready. It's sounding brilliant. I just had a couple little things yesterday. It was one of the best lessons I've given in quite a while. And I said, now that you are this ready, I rarely give this piece of advice to students, I want you to sabotage yourself during your practice sessions. So I want you to run your hands under ice cold water for like 2 minutes, and then I want you to go play your concerto, or go out and make a snowball. We're here in Utah, it's snowing today, so go out and make a snowball till your hands are so numb you can barely feel them, then go play your piece. Another thing you can do is wake up very early in the morning, play it immediately. That was a tip from Dr. Skelton. Or wake up in the middle of the night, plug in headphones on your keyboard and play through your piece. Just do things that are kind of bewildering to you and make you completely uncomfortable. The last thing I like to do that I personally did before the Chopin competition, and I don't really feel like I've ever played at a competition better than I did at the National Chopin for the first 3 rounds. My last round was kind of weak. But the first 3 rounds, what I would do with all my pieces is go through them, and I purposely mess up. So I would play a passage, and then I would like mess up and see if I could get back on. That was extremely helpful. I can't even tell you how much more at ease your mind feels when you know that you can recover quickly from anything that the piece throws at you. Any mind lapses that you might have, you know that you can recover within a beat or two very, very rapidly. That is kind of the ultimate security, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how you're going to feel. The one extra tip that I'm not very good at, because I'm crazy, I guess, is visualization. I always start visualizing, and then I'll kind of take the passage apart in my mind. I'm like totally, I don't know, ADD or OCD, just kind of like, oh, I'm going to practice that passage slow in my mind. If you can actually sit and play through the whole program before you go out on stage, that's another piece of advice I've received from very famous concert pianists. Okay, let's say that you have a larger program. You have a full hour that you need to prepare. How I like to prepare things is about 4 weeks out, I will divide things into chunks of repertoire. So I will do about 1/4 of my program, and I'll practice 1/4 of my program every day when I'm about 4 weeks out. If I'm 3 weeks out, I'll be playing 1/3 of my program. 2 weeks out, half, and then 1 week out, I'm practicing my full program every single day. That really helps to compound the progress, because 4 weeks out, you can still focus on those tiny little details and really dig in. Now, you can still do totally detailed work, the day before the performance, but you want to be playing through things more. One of the biggest mistakes I made was during my doctoral studies. We would have these studio classes every week, and I would always volunteer to play, because I was like, this is invaluable to get to perform every single week for a group of kids that has to be focused. So, and I would be messing up a lot in these studio classes, nothing major, just like little pauses here or there. And after a while, my teacher's like, you are so polished on your stuff. He's like, you're one of the most polished players in the whole studio, but he's like, why do you keep making all these mistakes? And I was like, I don't know, it's driving me nuts too. He's like, how are you practicing? I was like, well, I'm doing all the right practice techniques. I'm, doing hands alone to hands together, small sections. I'll record myself, I'll listen back. He's like, Josh, you need to chill out. You need to start playing through your program. You need to just play beginning to end a bunch of times a day. That's terrible advice early on in this learning stage. That's what I tell my students to avoid. But that's tremendously good advice when you're just a few days out or even a couple weeks out. You want to play through that several times, because that's what you're going to be doing, is playing through your whole program. So I wanted to introduce those concepts when you're preparing for maybe an hour program. Now, I'll sometimes weight, W-E-I-G-H-T, weight the hardest stuff first in my practice sessions. I think it's critical to do that, because your mind, I'll always remember I was accompanying these girls in undergraduate degree, these singers. I would make extra income that way, as I would accompany a lot, and it was invaluable because it teaches you so much about the voice. You become a very good listener, collaborator, and one of the teachers said, Dr. Power, this is one of the teachers talking about a different teacher at the school. She said, Dr. Power always says in master classes, you get 1 glass of voice per day. Now, pianists, we don't really have that way is I would accompany a lot, and it was invaluable because it teaches you so much about the voice. You become a very good listener, collaborator, and one of the teachers said, you know, Dr. Power, this is one of the teachers talking about a different teacher at the school. She said, Dr. Power always says in master classes, you get 1 glass of voice per day. Now pianists, we don't really have that problem because our finger muscles are so small that they don't really fatigue unless you're doing something wrong, in which case you can get tendonitis or carpal tunnel. But if you're totally relaxed, hypothetically, it's just your mind that's going to wear out. And I'm not saying, oh, you can practice Liszt Rhapsody number 6, all the octaves, you know, 8 hours a day. You will get tendonitis if you do that. Even if you have like perfect technique, I think you'll probably injure yourself somehow. You want to do those things in small bites. But what I'm saying is, I love that. You get 1 glass of voice a day. For pianists, you get 1 glass of like mental sharpness per day. And once that glass is exhausted, and everyone's different how quickly they're going to exhaust that glass, you're done. You're really not going to progress very much. Many famous pianists like Evgeny Kissin or famous violinist Jascha Heifetz, these might just all be rumors, but I've heard it from so many people. Everyone basically has the consensus, you know, 2 hours a day is enough. I think even Chopin. Everyone basically has the consensus, you know, 2 hours a day is enough. I think even Chopin said that, from what I've heard. Now, you can't prepare 3 hours of material for the Chopin competition on 2 hours a day of practice unless you have like 2 years to do it. So how do you practice for 8 hours, you know, a day, and which is what I was doing before this competition, and stay effective? I always weight my hardest stuff to the front of my practice session. I front load the hardest stuff, and then I will go to my medium stuff that's not as hard, but that it still needs a little more attention, and then I'll do the easiest stuff last. I can't emphasize how important that is, and I rarely play through things first thing in my practice sessions. I always work out problem spots first because that's more gritty. That's more, you got to get down in the trenches and do the work than, you know, playing through things. I have a lot of people email me say, I get so tired after I play through my piece a few times to start sessions. I always work out problem spots first because that's more gritty. That's more, you got to get down in the trenches and do the work than, you know, playing through things. I have a lot of people email me say, I get so tired after I play through my piece a few times to start my practice sessions, and then I'm useless. It's like, well, maybe you should stop doing that. So, okay, so the last thing, how would you prepare for something like the Chopin competition? And I don't have like a perfect answer for this, but I would always, one thing that Babayan told me is, he said, you must always practice your last round first. He said, I made the terrible mistake of taking all my best repertoire at Queen Elizabeth for competition, which he was a finalist at. I don't believe he placed, or he didn't place in the top 3, I don't think, and he'd won first prize in like a ton of other competitions right around that same time. And he said, because I chose to program Rock 3, which was a brand new piece for me, so I was practicing like 23 hours a day on Rock 3, and he said, the judges yelled at me and they said, you need to practice your last round first, because if you make it that far, you want that to be as strong as possible. Similarly, I've always had the philosophy, your first impression is also the most important. So I also feel that maybe you should do last round, then first round, then your middle rounds, if you're going to prepare several recitals at once. He said at the next competition, I can't remember which one, he said, I did Liszt concerto and I was so ready for it that I was playing video games, you know, the day before. I was going on long walks. I wasn't at the piano 24/7 because I was ready. And he's like, and I won the competition. And I was like, oh yeah, well, I know you would, because you're like the best pianist ever. So I thought that was really great advice as well. So I hope all of these, this has been a very long video, but I hope all of these pieces of advice are helping you to gather ideas on how to maintain repertoire. whether you're just preparing for one piece for a recital or you're preparing 3 hours for a major competition. These are some of my own ideas coupled with advice I've received from some of the world's best, and I can honestly say I've been so fortunate to study with many of the world's best teachers, whether it be full-time teachers or master classes throughout my life. So thank you all to those teachers for blessing my life so much. Thank you all for joining me today. I have 2 quick requests for you. If you've gathered any valuable info out of this video, please subscribe to my channel. Also, there's a link in the comment section or the description below that has my email list. Sign up. I only send out 1 email a month maximum. Sometimes I only send 1 out every couple of months, so you're not going to get spammed. But this just has info about upcoming concerts, projects I'm working on, and any discount codes for video courses that I sell on my website. Additionally, I'll link my #1 video course in the description. If any of you have any questions or video requests, please let me know. My email is josh@joshwrightpiano.com. Thanks for joining me today. Here's a subscribe button, here's my website, and here's 2 extra videos that if you'd like to continue watching. Have a great week.
And what I'm going to focus on specifically.
You are not a brand. You are not a job title.
Hello, I'm Graham Fitch and I'm coming to you from Steinway Hall in London, and I'm going to be talking for Pianist Magazine about how to manage repetition in practice. And we all know that when we practice, when we're learning a piece, or even when we're maintaining a piece, there's a certain amount of repetition that's involved in that.
Hey everyone, this is Josh with Josh Wright Piano TV. Today's video request.
Video, advanced memorization techniques. You know, I have a video on the basic how to
Я смотрел это.
Salut à tous et bienvenue sur cette nouvelle vidéo liée au piano, à la pédagogie et à mon blog libérersonpiano.com. Aujourd'hui, dans cette vidéo plus courte que la précédente, qui était assez longue, on va voir 3 erreurs ou mauvaises habitudes qu'on peut avoir, que j'ai constatées chez moi comme chez mes élèves. Que j'ai constaté chez moi comme chez mes élèves, qui empêchent de développer l'apprentissage par cœur. Parce que oui, la mémorisation, ça se travaille. C'est un entraînement, c'est une question d'habitude et de méthode. Et avec des mauvaises habitudes, plus ou moins conscientes, on rallonge ce temps nécessaire à la mémorisation.
В сталинских школах так и учили, что русский язык это самый языковый язык, вообще все отдыхают. Да, то есть как бы, я не знаю насчет, вот, наверное, правильно европейские, да. Это признак отсталости, как бы, народа на самом деле, да. Вот я понял. Ну, не технология, ну, как бы так, да. 20-миллионности. То есть, как бы нет, ну, это просто, ну, кичливое, да. Но я шучу уже специально так, то есть, как бы, нечем гордиться это, блин. Понимаешь, нет, ну, да. Ну, нет, как бы, я понял. Ой, нормально, мы такие вообще просто, да. И размножаемся, мы и народ, и вообще, ой, вообще, ладно, не мое уже. Да, ну ладно. Ну, нет, а почему? То есть, вот смотри, допустим, гипотетически уже понял это, да. Да нет, он тебя знает уже просто. Ну да, возможно, шлифы, ну да, то есть, просто интересно, понимаешь, что у нас, ну, все языки уникальны, в конце концов, то есть так говорить. Но у нас не самый-самый язык, то, что он, как бы, да, ну, я понял. Ну ладно, нет, все каждый свой, они так не считают. Мы тут вобрали европейскую мудрость и историю, да, нет, он тебя понял. Ну, нет, да, во всем мире так считают, да, он тебя понял, да, ну, наверное. Пожалуйста, на здоровье, да, он тебя понимает. Для вас это сказка, понимаешь, да? Ты же не живешь как эксперимент, ты не знаешь, как оно на самом деле. И как бы не дай бог тебе здесь жить и быть русским, понимаешь, не дай боже, как говорится, да. Да. Ну, понимаешь, это не настолько. Ты так не считаешь, что ли? Надо понимать. Наверное. Он тебя понял, вот это, да. Я вот не очень так сощусь. Да. Консерватор. Всему есть вариант. Сам-то думать будешь или нет, начнешь, да, я понял. Да. А почему вот так или так? Ну и ладно, не важно. Или не так, ладно, не касается.
Plus ou moins consciente, eh ben, on rallonge ce temps nécessaire à la mémorisation et même parfois on peut se convaincre qu'on n'est pas capable de mémoriser. Alors que le travail, c'est un entraînement, c'est une question d'habitude et de méthode. Et avec des mauvaises habitudes, plus ou moins conscientes, eh ben, on rallonge ce temps nécessaire à la mémorisation et même parfois on peut se convaincre qu'on n'est pas capable de mémoriser. Alors que c'est juste, voilà, encore une fois, une habitude et de la méthode.
Надо думать дальше, просто продолжать и все. Вот это, к сожалению, вот так. К сожалению. Вот как проклятие. Вот мужик и все. Мужчина и все. Вот так вот. Вот реально так, да, понимаешь. Да. Ну вот надо, да, наверное. Спасать не хлеб, я понял, да. Да, да. Мертвый, потому что, да, ладно. Не знаю, как делать лучше этому миру, вот видишь. Гипотетически надо что-то мужское сделать, наверное, я не знаю, что-то новое надо делать дальше. Ну это страшно, ну нет, понял тебя, да. Ой, не надо, да, все,
Plus ou moins consciente, eh ben, on rallonge ce temps nécessaire à la mémorisation et même parfois on peut se convaincre qu'on n'est pas capable de mémoriser. Avoir que j'ai des erreurs ou mauvaises habitudes qu'on peut avoir, que j'ai constaté chez moi comme chez mes élèves, qui empêche de développer l'apprentissage par cœur. Parce que oui, la mémorisation, bah, ça se travaille, c'est un entraînement. C'est une question d'habitude et de méthode. Et avec des mauvaises habitudes, plus ou moins conscientes, eh ben, on rallonge ce temps nécessaire à la mémorisation et même Même parfois, on peut se convaincre qu'on n'est pas capable de mémoriser, alors que c'est juste. On peut se convaincre qu'on n'est pas capable de mémoriser. Nécessaire à la mémorisation, et même parfois, on peut se convaincre qu'on n'est pas capable de mémoriser, alors que c'est juste, voilà, encore une fois, une habitude et de la méthode. Si vous voulez en savoir plus sur ces méthodes et sur la mémorisation au piano, j'ai écrit un article assez complet sur mon blog que vous pouvez consulter, je le mets en barre de description. Dans cet article, je partage aussi le bilan de mon défi 30 morceaux par cœur en 30 jours, si vous m'avez suivi. Voilà, tous les jours, pendant 30 jours, j'ai appris un morceau assez court par cœur qui était extrait d'un recueil des studios Ghibli pour justement
Ну как-то интересно, он тебя понял уже, да, ладно, да. Ну, наверное, да, больше. Якорь, наверное. Ты куда? Все, ты больше, вот ты, если ты в строителях, все, ты там женился, все, и пошло там якорь, там, якорение, да. Понял. Да. И опять же, да. Ну да. Ну это уже неизвестно, невозможно. То есть что-то новое начать, конечно, да. Вот и будешь, наверное, нет, я понял. Нет, хорошо. А женщине без разницы, она все хорошо. Чего всем желаю? Нет, не желаю. Не помню. Да, все хорошо. Здорово, дыхание.
Challenger ma mémoire, challenger ma méthode et voir comment optimiser Ghibli pour justement challenger ma mémoire, challenger ma méthode et voir comment optimiser en peu de temps la mémorisation. Voilà, donc on va attaquer les 3 mauvaises habitudes que j'ai listées. Si vous aimez, si vous aussi vous voulez améliorer votre mémoire au piano, cliquez sur j'aime et on y va. Alors, la première mauvaise habitude que j'ai pu constater chez mes élèves qui avaient plus de mal à apprendre par cœur, c'est qu'ils vérifiaient constamment leur mémoire avec la partition qu'ils gardaient ouverte sous leurs yeux. Donc ça, c'est le meilleur moyen de ne pas y arriver. Alors vous allez me dire d'accord, mais si j'ai pas retenu le bout ou le morceau, comment faire pour me détacher de la partition? J'en parle dans l'article, puisque je parle de la mémoire comme étant reconstructive, donc il faut lui laisser l'occasion de se reconstruire pour ça. Donc ce que vous pouvez faire, c'est simplement découper les passages entre les moments où vous regardez la partition et les moments où vous jouez au piano, c'est-à-dire observer un bout que vous aurez délimité sur votre partition. Peu importe la taille de ce bout, il peut être très petit, ça peut être une mesure, voire même une demi-mesure, c'est pas un problème. Vous essayez de le mémoriser, puis vous essayez de le jouer sans la partition et sans rythme dans un premier temps si c'est difficile pour vous, juste pour retrouver les notes avec les bons doigtés. Si vous vous en souvenez plus, vous essayez, vous n'y arrivez pas, c'est pas grave, pas de souci, vous retournez à la partition, mais vous vous empêchez de jouer en même temps que vous regardez la partition. Vous regardez la partition pour vérifier et pour corriger ce que vous n'avez pas suffisamment bien retenu mentalement. Une fois que vous avez fait ça, vous réessayez à nouveau au piano, sans partition. Et ce processus, vous pouvez le répéter le nombre de fois que nécessaire. Normalement, si vous êtes assez concentré, si vous n'avez pas pris un bout trop long par rapport à votre niveau de difficulté, ça ne devrait pas vous prendre tellement de temps. Pareil, évidemment, si c'est un peu difficile, faites les mains séparées dans un premier temps. Donc vous pouvez passer à un autre bout quand vous sentez que les hésitations vous empêchent plus de jouer.
Гейдит, наоборот, это, да.
Bonjour, voici Katia Keller et aujourd'hui je veux vous parler d'une petite technique, mais une technique très puissante en fait pour la mémorisation. Hein. Mais c'est cette partie de la mémorisation, il s'agit des morceaux qu'on a déjà mémorisés, qu'on a déjà appris à jouer et on les joue, mais si on ne répète pas ce morceau tous les jours, si on laisse du côté ce morceau, dans un mois ou 2 mois, on revient et du coup, il y a des parties de morceaux. Bon, le corps se souvient de ce morceau, mais il y a du coup d'autres parties où j'ai aucune idée de ce qui se passe là. Parce que à l'époque, je me suis vraiment appuyée sur la mémoire motrice, hein, la mémoire de mon corps. Et comment est-ce qu'on peut travailler ces lacunes, on peut dire, hein, parce que pour chaque morceau que vous avez mémorisé, il y a forcément quelques notes dont vous vous souvenez toujours. Hein. Bon, je vais vous montrer cette technique de comment déjà trouver les endroits où c'est faible, où la mémorisation s'est passée à côté de la mémorisation. C'était peut-être trop facile, c'était pas nécessaire. Mais avec le temps, du coup, on trouve qu'il y a un truc. La technique, c'est d'essayer de jouer son morceau à une autre manière, rythmiquement, à une autre manière. Je vais vous montrer. Par exemple, j'ai appris un morceau il y a longtemps, j'ai appris un morceau qui s'appelle Prélude en sol dièse mineur de Jean-Sébastien Bach, de clavecin bien tempéré, 2e volume. Et c'est un morceau, c'est assez large. À l'époque, j'ai bien mémorisé, mais après, du coup, mais il y a peut-être quelques endroits qui passent. Mais parfois, je fais une faute, ou du coup, si j'ai un trou de mémoire, je ne me souviens pas du tout où je suis. Comment faire? Bon, j'essaie de le jouer d'une autre manière. D'abord, le morceau original, ça commence comme ça. En fait tout le temps, bon, sans arrêt jusqu'à la fin du morceau. Maintenant, comment est-ce que je peux changer la rythmique de ce morceau pour notamment y arriver, de trouver où ma mémorisation est affaiblie, relativement affaiblie. Bon, j'essaie par exemple de faire une rythmique syncopée, comme si jazz. Hein. Donc je veux faire, disons ça. J'essaie de faire ces syncopes. Et quand je joue les deux mains ensemble, en fait, j'arrive pas toujours. J'ai besoin de faire attention, j'ai besoin de faire beaucoup d'attention. Et notamment, là où c'est affaibli, là où la mémorisation ne passe pas, je fais une faute. j'arrête. J'ai besoin de réexaminer cet endroit. Et voilà, c'est cet endroit qui est faible. Un autre exemple, un autre prélude de vague, aussi que je connais depuis il y a très longtemps, prélude en do mineur, que tout le monde connaît. Ce morceau aussi, ça va du début jusqu'à la fin sans arrêt, ou presque. Et là, je me dis, comment est-ce que je peux faire? Bon, je peux faire notamment les 5 ans, je peux changer la rythmique tout le long. Je dis, d'accord, c'est par 4, c'est toujours toujours par 4. Pourquoi pas essayer de le faire 3-2? Tout de suite encore, mon cerveau se dit, ah mais tiens, il faut que je m'accroche à cette 3-2. J'ai pas le temps de faire attention à tout ce qui est au niveau motrice. Vous voyez, comme ça, je continue et j'examine en fait tout le texte. Et de plus, moi je trouve que c'est assez amusant d'essayer de jouer ces morceaux, d'improviser de cette manière, parce que du coup je découvre souvent, des couches jusque-là non reconnues pour moi-même. Il y a toujours on ajoute en fait de la fraîcheur à son morceau. Mais le plus important, c'est ça. Vous prenez votre morceau, vous essayez de changer la rythmique et vous essayez de rester et de jouer, bien jouer toutes les notes de votre morceau. Peu importe quel style, peu importe quelle technique vous utilisez. Ça peut être le jazz où vous enlevez tous les syncopes, où vous introduisez notamment 3-2 ou 3-3-2 au lieu de 4-4. Ce genre de division, ça aide. Du coup, les accents changent, la musique commence à sonner différemment. J'ai besoin de contrôler à nouveau ce que je fais avec le texte et je trouve les endroits que je dois renforcer au niveau de mémorisation. Si vous avez des morceaux que vous voulez, dont vous voulez vous souvenir bien, ou que vous jouez peut-être pas, mais vous voulez revenir à ce morceau. Bon, prenez ces morceaux, examinez-les de cette manière, avec la partition, prenez un crayon et vous mettez un ici, et là vous mémorisez. Et vous vous dites, bon, vous utilisez les autres moyens, comme par exemple les techniques qu'on utilise, je vous fais apprendre dans la méthode mémorisation, mémoire musicale, ou peu importe, une technique que vous utilisez vous, et ça va énormément renforcer votre travail sur la mémorisation, ça va vous aider de découvrir les nouvelles couches de la musique, vous pouvez vous amuser parce que c'est purement une improvisation rythmique, et bon, ça va vous aider de garder ce morceau activement.
Hi, it's Emily. Today we're going to talk about memorizing music. So I'm going to talk about how I do it. The way I do it is that I use different inputs. So I have the auditory input, so I know the melody that I'm playing. I know the accompaniment in the background or in the front sometimes. Then there's the visual aspect, what's written on the music, if it's going up, if it's going down, but also where it is placed in the music. Is it in the first page, second page, top of the page? One thing that's the most efficient for me is just my fingers remembering by themselves, so the kinesthetic aspect of just the muscle memory of, yeah, very often I just play like this with my fingers and I'm playing different pieces that I know by heart. But those things usually are not enough. They allow you to play by memory a little portion of a piece, but you need a knowledge of the whole structure to glue it all together. You have sections that are coming back, but with different transitions that go in different places. And if you do the second transition the first time, then you'll be done with the piece way too early. For me, the structure is usually linked with the visual aspect. So I will know that the second transition the first time, then you'll be done with the piece way too early. For me, the structure is usually linked with the visual aspect. So I will know that the first time I play this, the transition is, let's say, it goes up, and the second time it goes down. The first time it's on the second page, last line, but the second time it's third page, third line, you know? So those things are all linked between what my ear is telling me is coming next and what my visual memory kept of the music and the automatism of my fingers just going by themselves. So there's different ways to achieve that. Of course, repetition for your fingers to just know where to go. Of course, repetition for your fingers to just know where to go. Repetition, 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 repetition. Listening to the music if you can, because this way you can do other stuff and just impregnate yourself with that music and with the melody, so it's part of you. Then you also have the visual aspect. What I do sometimes is I put a sheet of paper on my music and I say, okay, I'm gonna play the first part or the first page, and I try to go through it. If I have a hesitation, I just check and I'm like, okay, that's what's going on there. I try to make a picture, remember, I put it back and I come back to it. Of course, it's a lot of concentration, of focus to learn by heart, so you need to have a little bit of time ahead so you can do it and have time for your brain to just...
Не, серьезно. Страшное дело, думать страшно, давай думай. Да, понял. Да, как бы, ну да. Понял. Ну, да, понял. Ну как, ладно. Макароны-то закончились. Все нормально, короче. Все хорошо. Блин, какая-то стыдно, да. Яха такой. Представляешь, мне 36. Как я до этого дошел? Я веду себя как маленький, да. Ну это, наверное, да. Не знаю. Ой, это ты уже говорил. Ну да. Меня это не волнует. Где мои деньги? Понимаешь, вот реально вопрос. Я мужик, мне 42, скажи, скоро года уже будет. Ой, вот это вот не надо. Верно, конечно. Ну, не знаешь. Ну, ладно. Да, наверное. Да не надо. Ну, наверное. Чуть ли не. Ну, да. Ага, уже что будет, действительно. Почему? Докажи, что это самое. Ладно, все-таки. Работа нам. Нет. Не нам, не вам. Ой, блин.
В этом городе столько мошенников.
Мне можно доверять.
А покажи свой профиль на Юле.
Теперь сервис объявлений Юла проверяет продавцов по множеству параметров, чтобы твоя сделка прошла безопаснее. Юла крутится за вас.
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help.
От души уж поело.
Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you Mary for that great presentation, and what I have to share tonight really picks up from all of the things that Mary just talked about. So the question that was presented to us was, somebody said, I don't understand the double rotation and I can't speed it up. How can I get this right? And I think this is a very common question that many people who experience this work or try this work have, which is how do all of those motions get minimized and go into speed? So just to provide some context, the reason for this question is based in part on the ability of the person to learn and also minimize properly a double rotation. This needs a highly qualified trained Taubman teacher to help facilitate this complex procedure. This is the goal, and good Taubman teachers may have unique ways to explain it and help accomplish this. So this is just my particular way about going about helping people do this. To understand this process, I would like to suggest the evolution of something. So if we take, for example, the evolution of ice to steam. So while remaining water, ice is first in a rock form, and then it melts and becomes liquid, and if you heat that liquid up, it turns to steam and it evaporates. This puts moisture into the atmosphere, and although we do not see the moisture, we can recognize its absence. We get dry, our eyes are irritated, etc. So this is partially true about rotation. The way it is first shown in experience takes a journey in a process that has several iterations on its evolutionary pathway to speed. It is important to understand the following information. But more importantly, it is necessary to feel and experience this process to actually have the results. We know that the rotation is the only skill that we show in a slightly larger way than any of the other skills.
Ever wonder why so many people say they want to learn guitar, but very few actually learn to play? It's simple. Too many people try to learn with YouTube videos, and guess what? It doesn't work. YouTube seems like the perfect place